So yeah, we're gonna keep working on what we were working on before. Which is basically just bonus features for a specific tutorial project I was working on. Which we got one thing working from earlier. So those get forced back. Pat shoots missiles. Shit. I forget what the yellow one does. Alright, I am just going to say that I am not a fan of how the camera moves with this prototype, so after I do that bonus thing, I might change that. Bruh. Because it's like, left to right turns the camera, and the ball can only move forward and backwards, and it feels fucking terrible. So I don't know, whoever came up with that idea for the tutorial, it sucks. So we're gonna change it. Not right now. But yeah. But it works like it should. Or it works like it's supposed to. Then that shoots enemies back. It launches you in the air. Then it comes down and knocks them out. Then green is the pushback. No, it's not. It's the missiles. And that's the pushback. Okay. There's just different kinds of power-ups. But yeah. So now we're gonna make a boss battle. Which I'm not even sure. Hold on. Expert boss battle. After a certain number of waves, program a mini boss battle where the boss has some completely new abilities. For example, maybe the boss can fire projectiles at you. Maybe it is extremely agile. Maybe it occasionally generates little minions that come after you. This one probably creates the little minions. Yeah. So we're gonna create the little minions. Just based on this. Oh, we did do these. So we're gonna do this one now. And like I did last time, I'm just gonna follow with the step-by-step tutorials because these are a little over my... These are a little outside of my wheelhouse. But that's okay, it's what they're there for. And these are completely optional. But yeah. So we're going to navigate into the scripts folder and open up the enemy script. God, it's so fucking hot. Alright, so we want that script open. We want the enemy script open. Below the current variable declarations, add the following. So we're adding, hold on, we're gonna make this a little bit smaller. So we want a public bool, which is a boolean, which is a true or false, is boss, and we're going to keep that to false by default. And then we're going to add a float for spawn interval, which I imagine is going to control how often it spawns its little minions. And then a private float, next spawn. And then we've got a public int, which is an interval, excuse me, not an interval, an integer, which is a whole number. Mini enemy spawn count. And then we need a reference to our spawn manager. Or just call it spawn manager. So those are the variables that we need. So inside the start method, let's check if the enemy is a boss. If it is, we will set up the spawn manager variable. The update start method should look like this. Okay, so we're going to use the isBoss boolean to determine whether or not this enemy needs to get a reference to a spawn manager. So this is only going to be used if isBoss is set to true. So in start, if isBoss is going to do this stuff. Spawn manager equals find object of type spawn manager. Next, let's update the update method to call a method we'll make shortly on the spawn manager. The updated method should look like this. Oh, so we're adding it above this. So you know what I just realized? I wonder if so we have if isBoss, which when you type just the variable defaults to true. So if isBoss is true, if time.time is greater than next spawn, whoops, next spawn equals time.time plus spawn interval. And then spawn manager dot spawn mini, and hold on a minute. Okay, so this method doesn't exist yet. But we're using a method that doesn't exist yet. But we're going to change that. So now we're going to open the spawn manager. Save the script and open up the spawn manager script. Below the current variable declarations, variable decelerations, add the following. Okay, so I'm just gonna write boss variables. That's just for me. Public game object boss prefab. Public game object array. So these two sharp brackets mean, or the square brackets mean array, which means you're gonna get an array of game objects, or a grouping of game objects. So mini enemy prefabs. Then public int boss round. God, it is so hot. All right, 1 second. Yeah. It's screaming at us because we're missing or calling a method that doesn't exist. Below the generate spawn position method, generate spawn position, we will need to create two new methods. The first will handle spawning the boss, the second will handle spawning the mini enemies. Let's start with the boss method. So void spawn boss wave. And it's going to take an integer current round. Whoa. Oh, my bad. Come on. There we go. So we need int mini enemies to spawn. Okay. If boss round is not 0, because we don't want to divide by 0, mini enemies to spawn equals current round divided by boss round. Else do this. Mini enemies to spawn equals 1. And then variable boss equals instantiate, which means it's going to create a copy of a prefab. And we need 3 references. We need the object, a vector 3 position, and a quaternion, which is a rotation. So boss prefab. Generate spawn position. So what this does, this is also a reminder for myself. Vector 3 generate spawn position. Float spawn x equals random.range between a range that we set. Same with the with a float on the z position. Vector 3 random position equals new vector 3, which is whatever spawn position x is in spawn position z, and we're keeping the y on the 0 because we don't want it to appear in the air. And then so this method returns a vector 3 as a random position. So this counts as a vector 3 variable. It just generates a random thing between these things that we set before. And then boss prefab dot transform dot rotation. Boss dot get component enemy dot mini enemy spawn count equals mini enemies to spawn. Bingo. This is from the Mandalorian. I don't know what this is doing. Oh! It's a lightsaber. I didn't realize that. That's cool. Excuse me. Thank you. Where was I? Okay, so we finished the spawn boss wave. So let's break this down. First, we are dividing the current round. Oh, I see. We are dividing the current round by the specified boss round and then storing it into a variable for future use. Then we spawn in the boss and set the amount of mini enemies they will spawn to the variable we just created. Then we spawn in the boss and set the amount of mini enemies they will spawn to the variable we just created. So let's say boss round 1 is after 5 rounds. So 6 divided by 1 would be 6, so it'll spawn 6 mini enemies. I see. Okay. Otherwise, mini enemies to spawn is 1? Okay. Doesn't that mean it'll always do that? Huh. Oh no, if the boss round equals 0, it shouldn't ever equal 0. I think this is just a failsafe in case it does. Okay, whatever. We'll see where this comes into play. I'm not really sure what the point of that is. Next, let's create the mini enemy spawning method. Below the spawn boss wave method, add the following. Excuse me. Public void spawn mini enemy. And we're going to take in an int amount. Boom. Save. And now Spawn Manager is using this method. It doesn't do anything, but it's no longer screaming at us that it's calling a method that doesn't exist. But it's gonna do something in a minute. So for int I equals 0, I is less than amount, I plus plus. So int random mini equals random dot range, and we need 0 mini enemy prefabs dot length, which is just the length of that array, max exclusive, oh, it doesn't take in a third. Okay. Instantiate mini enemy mini enemy prefabs. That's an array, right? Yeah, okay. And then the int for that is random mini. We need the transform, generate spawn position. Wait. Yeah, we need the original prefab, the position, and the quaternion, or rotation value. Mini enemy prefabs random mini dot transform dot rotation. Okay. Cool. The last thing we need to do in the spawn manager script is to adjust the update method. The updated update method should look like this. Okay. Whoa, hold on a second. What is that? What does that do? Wave number percent boss round? Okay, so under update wave plus plus, if wave number, what does this do? Hold on, what does that do? That's not what I'm looking for. What does the percent do in C sharp? Oh, it's just division? Huh? Modulo or remainder after division. Oh, be aware that this operator exists in almost every language. The modulus operator computes the remainder after dividing its first operand by its second. So it's dividing? Note that the result of the percentage operator, or modulo operator, is equal to x minus x divided by y in parentheses times y. And that if y is 0, a divide by 0 exception is thrown. If x and y are non-integer values, x divided by y is computed as x minus n times y. Huh? Where n is the largest possible integer that is less than or equal to x divided by y. What? What? I'm not sure I'm understanding this. It's the remainder operator? It's a bit tricky with negative numbers. In an example, Java and C sharp, the result has the same sign as the dividend. -1 modulo 2 is -1. What the fuck? So this thing's using so this tutorial uses an operator that I've never been taught. I don't know what this is. Is it the same thing as if wave number divided by boss round equals 0? I guess I don't know. I guess I'll just type what it says just because that's how this is written, but at the same time, I still don't really know what that is. I guess I kind of... Whatever. Boss round is 0. Then we're going to spawn boss wave number, else Oh, else spawn wave number. Whoa, hold on. Where is this instantiate happening? Okay. This shouldn't matter. Or wait, no, it does because it has to come before the instantiate. Hold on. Get rid of that else for right now. Else. Do that. Okay, that should still work. Just some code rearrangement. The code we added uses a modulus The code we added uses a modulus operator to check if we are currently on a boss round. For example, if boss round is set to 3 and the wave number was set to 6, the modulus operator would return 0 as the modulus can be divided without a remainder. I need to retake some math classes or something because this is confusing me a little bit. Okay, well now we need to create the actual boss. Back in the editor, we will need to create the new prefabs for the boss and mini enemies. Let's start with the boss. Right-click in the hierarchy. What? Right-click in the hierarchy and set 3D. Oh, and select 3D sphere. Whoop. 3D object, sphere. Change all its sizes to 2.5. Move her up a little bit. Rename the sphere to boss. Whoops, I keep clicking the wrong thing. Boss. Next, add 2 components to the boss game object. The first is a rigid body. The second is the enemy script. Okay, so we need a rigid body, which, if you don't know, that is how we control the physics of the object. Without a rigid body, it doesn't react to physics in the engine. And then the enemy script, so that we can get that stuff, is boss. And we'll set the speed to 3. Whoops. We don't want it to be boss. On the sphere collider, click the selector icon in the right of the material field. Look for the bouncing material and select it. Wait, on the sphere collider... What was it that we were doing? Oh, on the sphere collider, click the selector icon to the right. Sphere collider. And we want bouncy. So we want a physics material on the collider. This will ensure the boss has the same behavior as the enemies when colliding with game objects. Oh, right. Okay. Then on the enemy component, we need to set some values. Change the speed value to 2. Oh, we want speed to be 2. And spawn interval 3. Okay. On the mesh renderer component, we will set a material. Navigate to the folder, course library materials. Let's just close a bunch of this stuff, just so we can have... Okay, course library materials. And I think it said 7. Texture grid 7. Adjust the albedo value to give a turquoise color. Drag this onto the boss game object. Am I making a copy of this? Oh, we selected this and adjusted the albedo value to give a turquoise color. Okay. I guess we don't need to change anything, just change the color of it. We'll do turquoise as well. Oops. Let's try... We'll give that to the player. Hold on. What? This. We'll make the player like... that. Isn't there a second color? Whatever. We'll just leave it like that. This is making me want to play Donkey Kong Country again. On the mesh renderer, yep, we just did that. Oh, I see. Whatever. It's fine. It doesn't really matter. The color doesn't matter. Drag the... I mean, it does in a sense, but it doesn't matter if it's different from... It does not have to match the tutorial, is what I'm trying to say. Oh, my hands are sweaty. Like getting clammy kind of sweaty. Okay. So now we're going to make a prefab of the boss. So we're just going to drag it to prefabs. Bingo. And then delete it from the hierarchy. Drag the enemy and enemy fast prefabs into the hierarchy. We will use these as a base for our mini enemies. Select them both in the hierarchy and adjust the scale to 1. Okay. So drag the enemy and enemy fast. Just so we can see them. Adjust the scale to 1. Whoops. Excuse me. Just like so. And mini enemy. And then mini enemy fast. Drag the game objects from the hierarchy to the prefabs folder. When prompted with a window, select original prefab. So, prefabs, original. Original. If we chose the other option, other than cancel, it would have overrode. It would have overwritten the enemy and enemy fast instead of creating a new mini enemy fast and mini enemy. Okay, those can be deleted from the hierarchy. The final thing we need to do is set up the spawn manager variables. First, drag the boss prefab from the project view into the boss prefab field. Spawn manager. So we need the boss. And then the mini enemies. Into the boss prefab field. Yep. Okay, I don't know why it's set up like that, but okay. Whatever. My variables are a little bit out of order, but I don't think that matters that much. Next, drag the two enemies. Oh, drag the two mini enemies. Yep. Okay, the last thing we need to do is change the boss round. This will be used to determine which round will be the boss one. If you put 5 after 4 normal rounds, a boss round would happen. To make it a bit quicker, to show the boss, we put our boss round to the boss round value to 2. And voila. Save the scene and press play. Every 2 rounds a boss should spawn. The boss will keep spawning mini enemies until you knock them off the platform. So let's see this in action. And hopefully it doesn't fucking break. Shit. Well, I fell. Yep, the boss shows up. Shit. I do still hate how this controls. Bye-bye. But it's a working game. Like, I would not do the control. If this was my own project, I would not do the controls the way that we did them. I'd rather be able to move the camera with the mouse and control the player using WASD. The way we have it set up, the way it's set up in the tutorials, it's front. You move with WASD. These are peeling. Yeah, whatever. You move with WASD, but only with W and S, or front, or the up and down arrows. The right and left arrows, or right and left buttons, move the camera, not the player. Whew. Oh, I'm gonna die. Yeah. Crazy stuff. But we did it. That's the expert programming thing. And there we go. It works. And now that's a ton of stuff that now I can pull from for later. A bunch of different mechanics that I have references to that I know how to do. Like being able to add a bunch of different behaviors. So like this is set up in such a way that like if I want to, we can add even another mechanic like we could add boost. Boost is something that I've actually done before in an earlier tutorial, so it's like that's something we could very easily add as another power-up. But anyway. What's the timer at? 54 minutes. We'll just round up to 55 minutes. 13 minus 5 is 8. Minus another 5. 83 minutes left. I don't think I'm going to continue that on stream, though. Oh, I already did this. I kind of want to play a game now. Now it's 8 o'clock, so now that's screaming at me. But we did this, and now I can continue with whatever is after this. Okay, we can close all this stuff at least. But thanks for joining me for some Unity practice and programming practice. We could actually continue doing that. That was pretty close to 2 hours, though. In 20 or so minutes, it would have been 2 hours worth of coding practice, so... Which was the minimum I wanted to do today. But now the question remains, what do we play today?